Welcome to week 5 of MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Tim Wood, Hector Longo, Bill Bryant with you. Gentlemen, how are you this Sunday morning?
Hector, we'll let you go first, considering...
No, Bill, you go first, because I'm confused. I missed last week with a raging cough, and I just didn't think I was ever going to get the call back this week, so I'm going to defer to you.
We sent you a letter. We sent you UPS. We needed you back on the show. As great as the show was, the ratings, you not being on the show and not voting for the MVC Gridiron Star of the Week, it put Tim and I in a little bit of controversy. So I just want to go on the record and say we want people's votes. The fan part of this is so important, and it's steadily climbing each week. However,
the politician in Bill Bryant came out like right when that started to go awry. We were deciding, how do we do this, because we had 2 votes for Aylward and the fans voted for Hamilton. And so we're deciding, and Bill was kind of, we should do what's best for the show. And then it starts to go awry. We start seeing the comments, and Bill's like, "I told you we should have done it that way. I told you." Just completely. I was shocked you didn't go on Twitter and literally say it's Tim's fault. Blame. I completely disassociate from. Oh, you probably just want a direct message with the Bill Ricker folks.
Yeah. Said I advised not to do it that way, and I did let them know that I was on the record the morning of the show when I casted my vote. Because what they don't realize, Hector, is the week before when Colby Cyrus won, I voted, Tim voted, you voted for Colby, and then Colby's his numbers spiked, and the reason why he won is he got your vote and the the fan vote, and won 2-1. So I don't think people quite understood the whole part of the voting piece. So now that the controversy is behind us, we're hoping we can develop another controversy and make something up and get more attention.
Well, let's face it, Bill. Once I gave Colby my backing, there was no chance he was going to lose. So that was with the missing piece last week. That's all.
And it killed me to watch the voting. Within 50 minutes, he got like 50 votes. I'm like, what the hell did Hector just do?
So
when Longo speaks, people laugh and then listen.
So we were like, we were 2 minutes from punting on Hector this morning. You'll see as when we talk to Aylward later. You see on the screen right now, Chris Calisi created a fun little graphic. He's our graphic guy, and he created a graphic. Where is Hector? Contract holdout, food poisoning, out on assignment, PED, suspension. Woke up late. So, and actually a pretty good photo of you, Hector. I sent the graphic to you. It was pretty. I was like, where did Chris get this? Wow, that was solid.
It was his high school yearbook.
I know that's not an oxymoron, but that doesn't happen, Tim. Pretty good photo of Hector. Just doesn't happen in the same sentence. Let's be honest. So,
that was like a hot take photo. That was like your hot take photo,
Oh my God! Those of you watching can understand. I have a face for radio, and I just don't get it. How Chris could find a photo that actually didn't break the lens of somebody's camera. So, good for him on that one. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. And if I still wasn't having nightmares for what Dave Calisi did to me in high school, I would say something. But nope, I totally fear that family. So enough of that. Dave might have been the scariest football player I've ever gone against. So in life. So just because of that, I won't say a word because I'm totally fearful.
Fair enough. All right. So
kick me in the groin. That's okay.
Yep. No. All good. Oh, kicked you. Oh, wow. You're still able to have kids, at least.
That's not going to happen, Tim. Sorry. I'm an old man. Why don't you get it through your head, fellas? You guys are young and virile. Bryant's running for office. Tim is this aspiring young media mogul, and then you have me, the old man, just trying to walk off into the pasture and watch a little football. But other than that, go right ahead. My
I just
diatribe's
like
over,
being
fellas.
called
Say
young.
something, Bill.
I like being called young. I'll take it. All right, so week 5 in the MVC. We've got the scores up on the screen now, and us off, thankfully. I guess the highlight or the headlines. Tewksbury down 14-7 with about 3 minutes to go against Billerica. Goes 25 unanswered points, kind of keyed on by a flea flicker play that converted. They beat Billerica 32-14. Friday was just it was a good night of football. Chelmsford gave North Andover everything they could handle, and it came right down to the about a half inch on the 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Brett Baker throws a 30-yard touchdown pass and gets him to 22-20, and then the keeper on the conversion just came up about a half inch short. So big night on the Friday side, and then Saturday we see Lawrence get their first win of the season, and a shocking result in Methuen as Andover beat Methuen 28-0. So, gentlemen, just your overall thoughts on what you saw out of week 5. Start with you, Hector.
Well, Bill. I can see you've switched your allegiances from Methuen football to Methuen golf after one loss. That's the kind of person Bill is today. He's abandoning ship and going to the Ranger golf team over there.
And I'm wearing Tewksbury red as well.
Aren't we all? But yeah, no, interesting to say. I would not be surprised by that result with Andover Methuen. I thought it would be a lot tighter game, but Andover's explosive, and from what I could see, Methuen just didn't have it on this day, and Andover put it to them. Look, I think North Andover's win over Chelmsford is kind of a eyebrow raiser for the rest of the league. Anybody else who's looking at Chelmsford now, I know there are no moral victories, but that's a vindicating loss for the Lions as to how far that program has come in such a short time this year. And you got to give it up too for Lawrence breaking through and picking up their first win of the year. Those are my kind of impressions from Saturday.
Well, it goes back to coaching, Hector and Tim. I think for the Chelmsford coach, they've had a rough year, and this is right around the time when you can stop plugging in younger kids and panicking and not really coaching the now and worrying about the future. To have that type of a score and almost pull off a win against a very, very strong North Andover team, it's a statement that Chelmsford's not going anywhere, and that they're going to keep building and doing their thing. Same with Lawrence. They got a coach, I think it's his second year coming in. They're still going to keep fighting. They drive up to Dennis Yarmouth and get kind of beat pretty good, but come back and pull out a huge win. You're 100% right. Unfortunately for Methuen, I was at the game, and they just did not seem like they were ready to play a football game against a very strong Andover team, and you can't do that. You have to show up every week. I will say this, obviously I don't want to single out too many kids, but Kareem Coleman just had a nice article in the paper on Friday, and I will say this, I think everybody gave their best effort, but God, Kareem left every single ounce of himself on that field, playing both ways. He was catching passes, running the ball. With Connor out, a lot of offense went through him, and that was probably the most he's ever done. And he's definitely hurting this morning as far as physically, and obviously losing the game doesn't help either. So
we'll break down a little bit more specifics on the Methuen game a little later. I think one of the things for me was just seeing as you guys were talking about how Chelmsford fought. And we'll talk to Coach Brian Aylward later, and we talk a little bit about there. I mean, that's a up and down but scary team that they've still got that kind of fight with all the ups and downs they've been through in the season already. We haven't even mentioned Central Catholic Lowell yet, but I mean, that's just one of those games where it's like it just shows you. It kind of separates what we're thinking in terms of who's going to compete with who. And I mean, Central just continues to show they've got they're loaded on all fronts, and Coach A's got them ready for MVC showdowns for sure. I mean, they went into Colley Stadium and just absolutely dominated from the jump.
Well, look, I think if you combine Central's performance, Tim, with what happened yesterday between Catholic Memorial and St. John's, it kind of validates Central as look out come Division I playoff time. I think to be able to play with those teams and to see them kind of getting back to business and taking care of business on Friday night, it kind of validates Central as, hey, maybe we didn't think they had a North power kind of team, but maybe they do now that you see that they slugged it out with the Prep, and the Prep is slugging it out with CM, and all of a sudden Division I North has become just this big, kind of a shootout type of thing. Division I tournament come playoff time.
Nobody knew, they lost their quarterback, they lost a couple key components, and nobody knew of this Aiden Pereira kid, and he's come in and just a legitimate MVP candidate for the league thus far this season. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but went to Lowell, dominated. And they now sit atop the MVC large standings at 4-1, 3-0 in the conference. It's going to be, it's Methuen Central Catholic next week, and it's really going to be interesting to see how the Rangers react and if they're able to regroup, because that's one that could get away real quick as well. So we shall see. Congratulations, as we said, to Coach Rhandy at Lawrence and the Lancers pulling out the 18-14 win. We'll talk that a little bit later as well. Bill, in terms of if you're Bill Ricca, what do you take from that game in terms of you're up 14-7 with 3 minutes to go in the third? I mean, how if you're Coach Sigsbury, how do you motivate after that game?
No, I think as we talked to Coach Sigsbury and after the Drake game, I think they have the talent. I think it's putting it all together, and I'm not saying that Tewksbury, Berger got outcoached. I think it's those halftime adjustments. Tewksbury has got a great coaching staff, and they pulled out the flea flicker, and it's all about momentum. And I think Coach Aylward's going to say it later on, that they just never gave that momentum back to Barica. And it's finding out a way. It's finding a way to capture that momentum. I not seeing the second half, Tim, makes it a little hard for me to understand what happened. I think Barica has been able to establish a dual threat. Obviously, Nolan can sling that ball like anybody else in the MVC in the state, and with Hamilton running the ball, it was interesting to hear that the offensive line and defensive line in the first half was dominated by Barica. I'd love to know what changed in the second half to get a better idea of how things just kind of went badly for them. But I think it's that next game. It's okay. We got to take care of business for us, and we got to put this game behind us. But that was a huge statement win for Tewksbury.
All right, so that's opening thoughts here. We will, as we mentioned, we will talk to Coach Brian Aylward a little bit later. We'll actually do that next segment. We'll talk Tewksbury, Bill Ricca, and we'll bring Coach into the show. We'll do that right after the break here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by DeVille and DeFusco Insurance. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and MAPFRE, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? I just asked Val and his crew to find me a better auto and home insurance deal, and he connected me with Plymouth Rock, where I'm saving more than 40% over my previous insurance. Now, your results may vary, but give Davila and DeFusco a try. They pride themselves on having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or check them out at daviladefusco.com. Big shout out to the folks at AFC Urgent Care, Lisa Williams and her team over there. AFC Urgent Care, the right care right now. You'll never need an appointment. Got that persistent cough and cold, that cut that needs a few stitching, or need a sports physical and don't want to wait weeks to get into your primary doctor? AFC's streamlined approach helps you be seen quickly and feel better fast. In Methuen, in the Merrimack Street Medical Professionals Building, 380R Merrimack Street, in North Andover as well, in the Burton Grill Plaza, 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Go to afcurgentcare.com for more details. Hey, I want to tell you about Jen Hamilton, the realtor for Keller Williams Realty. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and she's a big supporter of all things local, especially youth sports. She's a big backer for Central Catholic and Methuen athletics, but she's a household name around the Merrimack Valley. Hey, the autumn market is in full swing. If you are thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is an all-time low, making this a seller's market. In a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So put Jen Hamilton's 33-plus years of experience to work for you today by calling for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home. Call Jen at 508-954-7941. A huge supporter of youth athletics. Listen, her record speaks for itself. She's one of the top sellers in the region for Keller Williams Realty. Hamilton is a household word. Call her at 508-954-7941. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Tim Wood, Hector Longo, Bill Bryant, and you talking MVC football here on a Sunday morning or on demand whenever you're watching during the week. We certainly appreciate that. The MVP vote off to a fast start already. About 200 votes so far. So actually,
looks like our controversy didn't put the fans away from us, Tim. They drew more fans in.
We hope so. It was certainly not intended as we've said it on the show. I probably need to make it a little bit more clearer on Twitter that the fan vote just 25 to 33%, depending on how many hosts we have for the
attendance.
week. Yeah, Hector's attendance, exactly. So,
well, that hurts. Okay.
Yeah, it is what it is. We're fact-based business here.
Yeah, you and Fox News, Tim. You and Fox News.
Well, Hector, you missed our morning meeting at Country Kitchen this morning. We had another, production meeting. So hopefully we'll get you there next time.
Yeah, we'll see. One of these weeks, gentlemen. Seriously, maybe it's Country Kitchen. Maybe we'll see where it is. But I've got the wireless mics. We have the technology to do this in person. So maybe we'll give that a go before the end of the season here.
Wait a minute, I could have forced you guys to come to my kitchen and do this all together? Oh my gosh, no. No, that's not happening. Never mind.
I don't know if we're all fitting in that room of yours, Hector.
That's true.
Tight quarters. I think
I can shoehorn you in, though.
Yeah, tight quarter. I mean, Bill and I'm down about 42. Bill's, what are you down, about 40?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
If you two can put 100 more together, then we'll be okay.
Exactly. Like
just
we said to Coach
room,
Sigsbury, we got a long way to go to catch him even. So, all right. So Tewksbury, Bill Ricca. We were talking it earlier. 32-14. Bill Ricca led 14-7 with 3 minutes left in the third quarter before the Redmen ran off 25 unanswered points. Ryan Remetta 133 passing yards, hit a 45-yard flea flicker, 1 touchdown pass, 1 1-yard TD run. Tyler Keogh, he's the one who caught the flea flicker, and he also had a clutch 54-yard punt return. Danny Fleming, a 20-yard TD catch, 12 tackles, and an interception that all key in the game. And then Kyle Dorigo, their leading rusher for the game, 15 carries, 97 yards, 2 TDs. For the Indians, Nolan Houlihan, 214 passing yards, a 98-yard touchdown pass to Colby Cyrus, and a 9-yard TD pass to Nick Gualtieri. And then Kalu Alu, a 4-yard TD run for the Indians. So there's the overall view of the game, guys. Just thoughts in terms of the momentum and if we can, if we can, do we write Bill Ricca off in terms of the small, or Tewksbury is certainly in control now.
Yeah, look, the Redmond Bill, they are the team that looks like, I guess you use the words, in control, Tim. They're their own master here. That they'll dictate in the small. And, was it expected? Probably, even though it wasn't, even though they lost a ton to graduation last year. But, certainly Bill Ricca was ready for them on Friday night, and that is a tough place to play on Friday nights. It just is. I don't know why. It's probably the Friday night version of Tewksbury, maybe because of the slow turf and the slow grass and I don't know, just where it is. I guess.
I mean, add in the rain and the drizzle and the wind.
Yeah,
and it was just it was fugly.
And I think for both teams, it was not that. I think every week is an important week.
Sorry about that. Showing some
that's
highlights
okay.
as we're talking.
But I think for Tewksbury, it puts them back in the driver's seat as far as the rest of their season. They got some tough games coming up against Chelmsford and Drake, but not Central, not Methuen, Andover, and Barica with that loss. It's another L in their record, and it puts them behind the 8 ball a little bit as far as playoff seedings and things like that. I think the first half, Barica can take away and say, hey, listen, we played with one of the better teams, and we got to fix the second half. But, Tewksbury was also short some players, and you'll hear Coach Aylward later on talking about he's still trying to figure out where people fit based on the losses from his Super Bowl team last year. So they're still putting pieces together and coaching up. So they're just going to get better and better.
Bill, you mentioned, and we're going to cue it up, you mentioned some interesting history around one of in the loss for the Indians around one of the key plays.
Yeah, Tim. Having coached for a long time, youth and things like that, you get to know parents from other towns. And John Houlihan, Nolan's father from Barica, is someone that I've gotten to know, and we've kind of stayed in touch and rooted for our both boys play quarterback, both play lacrosse. Nolan just got a scholarship to Hofstra, and in the game on Friday night, he threw either a 98 or a 99-yard touchdown pass to Colby Cyrus. And the interesting fact is Craig Flynn held the record in Barica for the 98-yard longest touchdown pass. And Craig played lacrosse at Hofstra and was someone that was instrumental in getting Nolan to look at Hofstra and all that. So, kind of that weird, strange story that, here all these connections. But, one of the passes on Friday night game was either a 98 or a 99-yard touchdown pass. And, the record holder was a guy that played for Hofstra, and here's Nolan next year going to be playing lacrosse at Hofstra. Kind of a cool little story.
I think that, they officially called it 98. The video, when you look at it, and we got it up on the screen now, it's dicey. I'll call it 98.5. But it was a hell of a play. I mean, Tewksbury had a hard rush on him, and Houlihan just let it fling, and Cyrus had 3 steps on the defenders and was off. It was quite a play for him. So.
And it definitely shows how fast Colby is, because initially when he caught it, it was about a half a step to a step. And then that kid has wheels, man. He just took off. And, your DVs are usually your fastest on the team, and there was no way anyone was catching Colby once he caught that.
Now, one of the interesting things of the game, Hector, was just that Tewksbury was able to do this mostly without their star, Shane Aylward, who played a couple plays or a little bit of the game, but was mostly out of the game, nursing a shoulder injury. So, as much as we say they're in control of the small, that's going to be an injury to watch here for sure.
Look, they absolutely made a statement by coming back and winning that game without him. I think a lot of people thought, what's Tewksbury? They're Shane Aylward. And I think they showed that they're more than Shane Aylward. That was a pretty impressive
statement.
Showing a little bit of resilience there, Tim. Look, they get over the initial panic. We're without our guy. He's our stud. How can we do this? They're questioning themselves. And they just got back to business and played. That was a pretty big statement right there.
In terms of just what we see, I mean, are you guys ready to call this for Tewksbury at this point, or I mean, do you see enough out of Bill Ricca and to say maybe? Or Drake it. I mean, Drake it's on a 2-game losing streak now, but even Drake it. I mean, that's going to be a key matchup coming up. So, I mean...
Well, you can't call anything yet, Tim, especially the way Chelmsford played against North Andover. There's 2 tough games left. That's what this league is.
Yeah.
Maybe Drake it didn't, is going through a patch, but they're going to show up. If we saw it with 2 weeks ago with Haverhill playing Methuen tough. We saw it with Chelmsford this week. Teams can show up and teams can play.
Absolutely. All right, so
and I think the other thing though, real quick though, is Friday night. You got the drizzle, you got the wet, sloppy field. As much as Barica loves that field, they're also a passing team. They're also a skilled team as well. So you put them on turf. You kind of spread the field a little bit. Maybe there is a different outcome. So I don't think Barica is down and out yet. I think they're still trying to figure out their identity. When I was at the Drake at Barica game, from what I heard and what I saw, one of their best linemen is still out as well. So, when you take these key components and you remove them from these small schools, it does impact the team. And that's why the Tewksbury win is so impressive without Shane, because, there was another team that was losing a player this week, and unfortunately they didn't necessarily show up. And you have to. In the MVC, no matter who's in or who's out, you got to show up, and it's got to be the 11 men on the field that takes care of business.
The Ranger golf team was missing their number 1 this week, Bill.
No, Grace McKinnon was there, and Grace had a nice article in the Eagle Tribune.
All right, let's stay on point. All right, so
hurtful, Hector.
Speaking of staying on point, we'll one guy we're probably not going to get to make any predictions on calling anything for the Redmen, but will give us a full assessment where the team at. Let's bring into the show Coach Brian Aylward from the Redmen. Joining us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, he's a trendsetter. He is the first coach to submit to joining us on Skype. It's Brian Aylward from the Tewksbury Redmen. Coach, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. Just glad to be here with you guys.
Absolutely. It's much better. Although I know it's a Sunday morning and we're not looking our best and brightest, but we appreciate you joining us nonetheless.
It's funny you call me a trendsetter. I'm about the furthest from being a trendsetter in terms of like social media or as a consumer, producer, all of that stuff. So it's kind of ironic that I'm first guy here. Chucky, I can't believe Chucky wouldn't want to do this. So he must have been the first choice. He must be at church or something.
Yet here you are on Skype with us talking MVC Gridiron, talking MVC football. So he can be that, but here you sit with us.
It's great. Appreciate it.
He's still got the shorts though. He's still got his shorts thing.
Yeah.
So, Coach, in terms of tell us just your overall thoughts to start just on the win against Bill Ricca.
Well, I mean, it was huge. It's my favorite game of the season, and I would have said that about the North Andover game last Sunday. So, it's like that's the most recent one, and I'm happy with what the kids were able to accomplish. And we've gone through some stuff. From the outset, we're growing together as a group, and I was happy with the way that they fought through 48 minutes.
Coach, talk a little bit about the first half. Obviously, I was at the Methuen game. Tim texted me that you guys were down 14-7, and Barica's that funny town, man, that they get up for every game, and they always feel like they're the underdog. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised at that score. What was going on in the first half that was contributing to that score?
Well, I mean, I think they showed up certainly ready to play. I thought our guys showed up ready to play. I mean, it was kind of back and forth. It was they had a little bit of a push up front in the beginning, and we had a couple of mistakes defensively, offensively, just making the adjustment. Without having Shane, who's a big part of what we do, and a lot of our personnel groups that we'll use. We kind of developed a lot of those since the early season. After Methuen, we started to work some different packages to become a little bit more efficient on offense. And then when you lose the one guy that's in all of those different packages, it was a little bit of an adjustment period. So, I think, they put it together though in the second half, and cleaned some stuff up, and cleaned some stuff up defensively, but then just offensively, just hit on some things that were good execution on the part of our kids.
Coach, in terms of tell us just a bit about your quarterback, Ryan Rometta. Big game for him.
Yeah, you talk about big play guys not being able to make big time plays. Somebody else has to step up and do that, and I think Ryan certainly was one of those guys that did that. I mean, we needed out of that position. We're not going to be able to be successful without guys being able to make plays out of that spot. And Ryan has gotten better. I think the thing, it's like a character thing. I think that you could have tremendous athletes in that position, but if they're not kids that are willing to learn from their mistakes and from their experiences, then I don't know how much they're going to improve. And Ryan has done that, and he made a beautiful throw, a flea flicker in the third quarter, tail end of the third, that kind of, I thought captured the momentum for us, and I think we just fought like dogs to keep it the rest of the day.
Coach, tell us a little bit more about that flea flicker. Like, what gives you the courage or the just the kind of the moment, like knowing that moment where okay, let's try it.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of put that in my brain right before we walked off the field at halftime. We needed something that was like play action based, and to be honest with you, Barica covered it. So they were on top, up high and underneath on the receiver, which was Tyler Keogh, and Ryan just made a beautiful throw, and Tyler caught it. But those kind of plays, it's like sometimes when the offense is sputtering, it's almost a matter of like, hey guys, look at I'm here to win, So if we can't do it with the plays that we're running, we're gonna throw some haymakers and try to make something happen and just try to capture that momentum. And thankfully for us, that it worked. And if it didn't work, then we go to something else. You got 48 minutes, you got to use them all.
It really was a beautiful throw.
We've had to use them all in every game that we played.
Absolutely.
And when a play like that hits, the confidence that the team feels from the coaches, it always gives a lift. So end of the third quarter, you hit on that. Fourth quarter, your guys are back all in, ready to run through walls for you. So that's definitely one of those coaching moments that when it hits, it's great.
It really was a beautiful throw, too. I mean, like you said, it was a beautiful throw. And Keogh, really, like you said, they covered it. Keogh really only had maybe a half a step on the defender there and just caught him in stride.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's, I don't know that it's any different at any level of football, but I do know for sure in high school football that it's about momentum and, that's kind of the attraction, I think, for guys like myself and others that have been involved in it, keep coming back to it year after year, is that, you can't create that kind of energy anywhere else. And it's, you got to get the momentum. It's a game of momentum, and if you have it, you got to fight like a dog to keep it. And that's how it goes. We were able to capture it on that play.
Hey, Coach, do me a favor. I know you don't like to single out kids, but, I grew up with Danny Fleming, played high school football with him. He's got two boys on your team, and I did read in Twitter and some of the notes that, one of the sons played tight end and had a good game yesterday. Talk a little bit about those two kids and just let me know how they were doing.
I'll tell you that both guys have been critical to our success since, we went through some learning early on, trying to figure out what we had. We were replacing so many guys. We only had two returning starters, but then, 5 or 6 guys that get legitimate reps in varsity games. So, but then piecing it all together with a new quarterback and, okay and Needham. We had our struggles that day against Methuen. They played great. Your boy played great. Connor just was dominant that game. But we did enough to kind of hurt ourselves and try to, one loss is not a death penalty for sure, but it certainly is a wake-up call that we got to reassess what we're doing. As part of that, we take a guy like Pat Fleming. He's the older boy. He's a senior. And he's a guy that kind of really didn't fit in a lot of different places within the offense. We moved him to fullback position in one personnel package with Kalu, who's getting better every week. Moved him as an eye tailback, and that's part of a package that we've been able to have some success with the last couple of weeks. Danny Fleming is a sophomore, and really he's going to be a great player, if not already. I mean, I think the other night he had like 15 or 16 tackles. And they weren't soft. That was a hard-hitting game. The muddy conditions, everything else like that. Those are two of our most physical players that we have. Pat Fleming and then Danny. Danny provides a lot of different things. I think he's very athletic. He's one of our better athletes. So we tried him at the tight end position. But I don't think the tight end position was really broken. This Owen Gilligan has played great for us all season. So now we're able to use Danny as a fullback in our regular sets. He play halfback in some of our spread sets, and play safety for us on defense. Pat Fleming will play some middle linebacker. He'll play nose guard for us. So they're football players, and they're versatile. They can do a lot of different things, and but they've been a big part of our success for sure. Those two kids.
Yeah, thank God that the young Danny, got mom's athletic ability. Cause
absolutely, I say that about all the kids, and they all get their toughness from their moms.
Without question.
Every single one of them. So
definitely going to stay away from Lawrence for a little while now after saying that.
Yeah. Make sure you're driving the speed limit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Coach, in terms of it's 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and Billerica is up 14-7. How did that game turn on a dime like this in terms of you guys running off 25 unanswered points? Well, I mean, what did you see in terms of the kids just a different kind of energy?
Well, it was just such a, we talk about like when you don't have the momentum that you get to fight and try to grab that. And it was such a struggle in that game. I think, Burke would do just enough. And, stop us just short, converting on fourth down, third down. We'd have to kick it away, or we'd have them stopped a couple of times and then they'd convert, just held the ball. And, so I think by the time we got the momentum, I think that the pass to Keo was huge. And then the kids just fed off of it, so then it became like this, I think they learned the art of the sense of urgency. I think, that your sense of urgency to keep your momentum is as important as it is in order to capture it. So they just, were on point making plays, and were aggressive, and, I'm just happy that, I'm happy for the kids that they were able to kind of do that.
Coach, I got kind of a statement question here. I hope I can get it out well. There's a lot about, towns going against each other and rivalries and all that. And, for me, one of my most favorite things right now as a dad is seeing what Tewksbury and Methuen has been doing over the last 5-6 years. The Methuen High Red Ranger hockey team, the swimming team that's combined. Ronnie Druin and our AD have done a really good job of continuing to open up sports. You and Coach Ryan obviously have a great rivalry, but you also run a transition camp. And you're talking about Ryan Remetta making the adjustment into high school football. And there's a lot of athletes that play Pop Honor and or AYF and do awesome, and then they transition into high school. And that is such a difficult transition. Talk a little bit about the importance of that transition camp and just kids developing into a Pop Honor star, into a role player, or finding their niche in high school football, and how difficult it is as a coach sometimes to get kids to buy into that.
Yeah, I think that's been certainly a good thing for the kids that have gone through that, in terms of just showing up ready and really trying to, teach them from it's the challenge for a lot of youth coaches is being able to work position specific drills. You get 2 or 3 guys that are coaching, and you get 30 kids, and you're trying to keep them all active, and you're doing kind of general football drills, but then to get like real specific technique before you even show up in a freshman setting, and then just the work ethic. How am I going to get coached, and what are the expectations on me, and that kind of thing. So I think it's been good. I think we want to kind of keep working it, try to get more programs involved. I think that not only makes it better for the kids. So we've talked about trying to do that, but yeah. And Tommy's done a good job over there. I have no doubt that was going to happen. To play at a consistent level, and I know you go through some struggles with when you get certain guys injured. We went through that with Shane ourselves in the last that last game. But to lose Connor is such a big part of what they do. Certainly was a big part of what they did in our game. Those other guys got to believe and just and rally and make it happen. That's now their opportunity. You can't wait around for somebody else to make a play. They got to step up and do it.
No, definitely agree. But for new people that are listening, the MVC. The transition camp you guys do is late August, right? Late July.
It's late July. It's kind of a tough time, but in terms of people going on vacation and stuff like that, but it just works for pretty much everybody else. To be able to get the staff there at that time, it's a good time to do it. It does, get guys, that are going to be in that 8th grade year. Kids going into 8th grade and into 9th grade. And those are kids that we've always talked about being kind of in no man's land when it comes to like outside camps, because they kind of been there and done that with the youth camp scene. We put them in helmet shoulder pads so we can, not liven up, but like a little bit more contact oriented. You got to get ready to, you prevent injury by technique and learning how you're going to mesh into a contact situation. And at least you can do it in a more controlled setting like that. they're going to be more equipped to keep themselves safe, and that's a big part of it. And then the ninth grade guys, they go to these high school camps and they kind of get brushed aside. So here at this camp, they're the show. All of them together, and try to give them, you coach them apart, and you only get them for a limited amount of time, and you want to see them progress even in the 4 days that you have them. So it's been good.
Hey, Coach, in terms of just where you're at with this team, how do you feel? I mean, obviously last year's a special season for you guys. How do you feel just in terms of where the teams at conditioning, where the team's at picking up what the coaches are throwing out? How are you feeling at this point heading into the meat of the MVC schedule?
Yeah, well, I think that we've had a few years to get adjusted to what needs to happen in order to do something special, and a lot of it is just getting to a position where you hit these last few weeks leading up to the playoffs playing your best football. Having the ability to do the most things that you can do on offense, knowledge-wise, seeing as many different things from a defensive standpoint as we will see with teams running various things, and being able to handle all those things. And I think that our guys are trending in the right direction. I think that we should be, our goal is to be playing our best football once we hit that playoff time.
Talk a little bit about your upcoming game against Chelmsford. They're definitely having kind of a strange year in the fact that new coach, they're fighting and clawing. I'm shocked about the North Andover score. It just shows that their coach is not going to give up on the season and his team, and it really sounds like they showed up against North Andover ready to go, which makes that a little, at times, a scary opponent because it takes a couple of plays. It takes a team believing in themselves to get that big win.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we always talk to our kids, and it's not, we're not being mean to them, but we're not good enough to just walk on the field and beat anybody. So the focus and preparation has to be there, the same as if we're going and playing Duxbury. It's got to be, all hands on deck, guys ready to go, being prepared if, certain guys get injured, and who's the next one up, and can we still run all the stuff we want to run on the offensive side? Are we still going to be safe on defense with guys that know what their responsibilities are, alignments and stunts and whatnot? So we're fired up and ready to go. I mean, this is we have an opportunity to control our own destiny in terms of the league, and that's in front of us. We have two games to be able to accomplish something that's measurable, and then on to the playoffs. And then it's, we fight like a dog just to get ourselves positioned to maybe get a home game, maybe get 2 home games within that playoff. And that's what we're going to try and do. So the kids will be focused, the staff will be focused. We know it's on us. We're in a good position. We put ourselves in a good position. Now we get to finish.
Hey, Coach, before we let you go, and really appreciate getting Coach Brian Aylward from Tewksbury joining us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Before we let you go, I know you're not huge on shouting out specific guys, but give us a rundown of the coaches, because the coaches don't always coaches making you look good don't always get the love. So tell us a little bit about the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, we get guys that, they do a tremendous job, and they're great friends as much as they are coaches. We see each other a lot all throughout the year, and I have 2 guys that are retired that are like the 2 wise men. I get Paul Norton, who is our offensive line coach, and he's been retired as a superintendent at Brickhouse Correction over in Bricka. He's been offensive line coach for over 40 years at the high school level. He's as good as they come, year in, year out. That's just from a talent perspective, from a size perspective, certainly, but from a talent perspective as well. It's a tough thing to do, and I don't think anybody can really have a lot of success without having a good guy there. And he does a great job. Brian Hickey is the other guy who was retired from teaching and coaching at one point, and we brought him back. And he helps. He does with our defensive line. It's good having him around. He's like, I call him Miyagi. He can sit a kid down who's in a mental catharsis and figure it out. Get him going. So then we got Tom Bradley. Certainly was a guy that played with me in high school at Tewksbury. He's been with me for the entire time I've been coaching. He works on the offense with me. Mark Bradley, his brother, he actually played for us when back in 95, 96 Super Bowl. He works on defensive backfield. He's as good as there is in the business. He's really good. Steve Kasperzak is basically our defensive coordinator, and he's a guy that was one of the great players for me back in like 03. I could be off by 7 or 8 years, whenever it was. He was really good. Had a great career at Worcester State, and then he's done a great job for us on the defensive side, and all of those guys have great knowledge on both sides. And Kaz is a guy that teaches in the school, so he's able to kind of keep tabs on the kids and develop good relationships with the kids, and I think that's really important. I think some schools that don't have the ability to have guys in the building, that's tough, and having Kaz there is a big deal. Yeah, that's about it up top. And then our freshman guys do a tremendous job. I get 3 guys, all former players. Paul Saunders, he's the head coach on the freshman team. We get Derek Toppy, who's a tremendous player for us. He's there with him. And then this year, Johnny Saunders, another kid who played great for us through the 2013 Super Bowl team. He played tight end, middle linebacker, tough as nails. So it's just good having that kind of energy, that kind of connection to traditions and Tewksbury football. That means a lot to the kids, So
absolutely,
they've done good.
All right, now no Patriots today, but you've got a special rooting interest in another game outside of the Patriots. Yeah. Tell us the connection to the Texans.
The Texans shirt, the Texans mug.
Yeah. I get So yeah, I get a little Texans. I can wear that around here. I love my Pats. I've never missed a snap in years, but my son Johnny, who had played for us back in 2013, he's working with the Houston Texans as a offensive quality control coach. He had an opportunity for an internship, not this past year, but the year before. We went down there, did a tremendous job, worked really hard. I'm proud of what he's done. And you get a call from Coach O'Brien. He graduated semester early at St. Anselm last year in December. You get a call in early January from Coach O'Brien. Johnny, ready to go to work? And he said, yeah, yes, Coach, absolutely. He goes, all right, well, we got a meeting on Monday, and that was it. So since then, January, he's been down there, all through OTAs, through training camp, and it's a tremendous opportunity, and but it's also tremendous amount of work, and I'm proud of him that he's able to do it. And I think there's guys that are quick learners and can take in a lot of information, and there's guys that can just like outwork the people around them. But in order to do the job that he's in, I think you need both, and he's shown the ability to do that, and I'm proud of him, and I root for them. I know Coach O'Brien, and he's great. So I'm looking forward to today. The big one against the Chiefs today, and now I'm not conflicted. I can have one TV on. I have a setup where I got like 2 TVs. So it's like I'll put the Pats game, the Texans on, and the Texans game, if it's not like nationally televised, I gotta do some kind of streaming online things. I am high tech. You know what I mean?
Right?
I am
serious. Yeah.
I was gonna say two
Yeah.
TVs,
Serious.
streaming. Look at you.
I've learned a lot about like online streaming stuff and
Got to get the red zone.
yeah, you know what? The red zone only gives you like the scoring drives.
Yeah,
So
I know.
well, I need every single play. I need panning the what's happening. I need to feel it. So we got to get the whole thing. So that's what we've been doing. So today it's just one TV. It's on CBS. So we're fired up and ready.
Hell of a game.
So yeah.
Sean Watson's my fantasy quarterback. So I'm a Clemson guy. So or Clemson
Yeah, I
fan,
think so.
So
Yeah, it's good. Hopkins and all those guys. The guys like those guys. So
oh yeah, they got
football.
some weapons for sure. All right, Coach. Huge thank you for being the trendsetter, being the first one to join us on video here, and really appreciate it. Congratulations on the start. Congratulations on the Bill Ricca win, and best of luck moving forward. We'll talk to you down the road.
All right, thank you guys, and appreciate you guys doing what you do. This is a special day, and then taking it to the next level, like doing something like this, I think shows you guys' commitment to it, and the kids appreciate it. I think parents appreciate it, all that stuff, and Bill, good luck to Connor. He's a class act.
Coach, I appreciate it. Words
tough
out there.
And but I'll tell you what, he if there's one guy that he could pull out of pads and put in a player coach position, it would be him. He's had the most experiences, and he's got to just kind of embrace that role and do it, and they'll get it done down the road.
Coach, I appreciate, like I said, the transition camp when I met you 5 years ago. I think you're a hell of a guy and a phenomenal coach, and your words are mean a ton. So rooting for you for the rest of the season. Kick some butt and keep doing what you're doing with Tewksbury, because you guys are fantastic to watch.
All right, great. Thanks. I appreciate it, guys.
All right, Coach. Thanks again.
Okay. Take care.
All right, so huge thank you to Coach Brian Aylward. Tewksbury, again, another team, guys, that we were wondering what do they got? They got a new quarterback. They got to fill some holes, and I think one of the things we talked about in our interview, Ryan Rometta has really stepped up for him and has Tewksbury right in the mix once again and in control of their own destiny. Bill, anything?
Go ahead, Bill.
Yo, sorry. Yeah, no.
That's
no,
my bad. I
absolutely.
didn't lead it to one of you guys, so.
No, it's okay. I think for Ryan, having to step up this past week and having a big second half and playing solid in the first half is key for Tewksbury to go deep in the playoffs and make another run at it. So his confidence is key. He's been kind of groomed for this position and behind a great quarterback that left high school last year. So big game for him, and hopefully he can kind of continue to grow off his great play yesterday.
Hey, Tim, it's funny. A couple of coaches from the North have reached out to me about Tewksbury. That's what they want to talk about. How is Tewksbury doing it? What's going on? Are they Tewksbury? They have a reputation here. Teams around the North fear Tewksbury. So it's interesting. They're going to be, a team to watch come November.
Now you've known Aylward a long time, Hector. I mean, are you shocked that he's the first coach to join us via video?
I think that's more of a commentary on the other coaches' aversion to taking new chances and boldly going where other coaches have not gone before. But maybe he can be the trendsetter. He's the guy now.
And he called out Coach A specifically. He called out Chuck specifically in terms of. I thought Chuck was going to be the guy, but so we'll work on Coach A down the road here. So all right.
But Tim he gave the whole woes me. I don't know technology, but then was talking about streaming the Texans game and having two TVs, and then he kind of confessed, "Well, I'm not that lost as far as technology." So
I want to see his game. I want to see his game set up on game day here on Sunday afternoons. Looks like the place to be for sure. So, all right. Again, huge thank you to Coach for joining us. Let's take take a quick break. We will come back. We will talk. Central Catholic Lowell. We'll talk. We'll talk Methuen Andover and a lot more right after the break here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and MAPFRE, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? I just asked Val and his crew to find me a better auto and home insurance deal, and he connected me with Plymouth Rock, where I'm saving more than 40% over my previous insurance. Now, your results may vary, but give Davila and DeFusco a try. They pride themselves on having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or check them out at daviladefusco.com. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo. Hey, you got the MVP vote going. If you're watching this before Tuesday, check us out on Twitter at MVC Gridiron Week and get in on the vote. You'll see the nominees up there. It's Josh Ramos from Andover, the Central Catholic defense, Tim Iannarone from North Andover, and Vinny Schmidt from Lawrence are your nominees this week. So get over to Twitter and vote on that. So let's talk Central Catholic Lowell, guys. The Battle of the Raiders. They went in, and Central Catholic went in, allowed 9 yards to Lowell in the first half, led by Dom Petey, Jermaine Wiggins, Brandon Sassati, and on the D-line, and then Kevin Higgins and Nick Palmer at linebacker. Aiden Pereira, 2 TD passes, 2 TD runs. One of those passes, those TD passes to Connor Finneran, a 15-yard TD catch. Nick Donadio, a 25-yard TD catch in the first quarter. And then Nathel Achuo, a 1-yard TD run after Mark Cassis recovered a fumble for the Raiders. And then for Lowell, again, stopped mostly in the first half, but Brandon Tighe did end up with 130 yards rushing, two second-half TD runs, including a 63-yard run. So just in terms of what you make of this, I mean, is anybody going to beat Central Catholic at this point, guys?
Go ahead, Bill. That's your favorite team.
So as I'm hugging my therapy dog right now, they're tough. They're a strong team. But let's remember, though, last year was their rebuild year. So and they had a phenomenal year last year, but it was all about Central losing a ton of their seniors from the year before. Last year was their rebuild year, and here they are again. Let's all be honest. They don't necessarily have a rebuild year when each class is a class of stud athletes from all over the area. They're just a really well-coached team. Chuck has been coaching for a long time. They have a phenomenal coaching staff. They have a ton of athletes, but you still have to put it all together. You can have an all-star team that can stink. So as much as I'm critical about their depth, as much as I talk about, kind of where they belong, they're still a very well-coached team. They still have a bunch of great athletes. Nate Hebert, Methuen kid, who I think highly of, coming back after a couple of tough weeks. This isn't me rooting.
I didn't include that, yeah, but he got a touchdown in the game.
This isn't me rooting against anybody. This is me trying to figure out, hey, where does a team like this really belong, as far as the MVC? They're just a very well put together, well coached, talented team, and it's a tough for an MVC city team to beat them. They have to put together almost a perfect game, and Lowell's got a ton of talent, but not the depth in on the field, and it showed.
Hector, in terms of just seeing this from Central year in, year out, I mean, is this a surprise to you? Just that they're rising to the top again here.
I would never say that they would be a surprise in this league. I mean, if you look, you could go from sport to sport. That they're strong at every turn to basically. Bill, he makes a lot of points. He's got some inner-seated anger, and that's fine. But he makes a lot of good points about Central. No, I'm being semi-serious here, Bill. But when I say that, I mean, he makes a lot of good points. That they're a very talented group. There's a reason why there has been, such a move for them to not be in the Valley that, pops up every 2 years, every year, whatever it is. They're a very good athletic program, and they just and look at Chuck's numbers. I mean, they're off the charts good.
Numbers don't
and
lie.
They turn out right, and they turn out athletes. Well, I have to digress there, fellas. I have to be honest, okay, Tim. I knew that Bryant was running for office. Okay, I got that. When the heck did you become such a politician? The Central Catholic defense is one of the nominees for MVP this week. The Central Catholic defense, pick a kid, step it up. Don't be like the coaches who are just going to say, oh, it's a team game, blah, 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 blah. Step up, pick somebody who had a big day, Tim.
So I picked a specific guy. I picked a specific guy from North Andover for Central. It just, you can't. They just... to limit a team to 9 yards, a team like Lowell that with so many weapons.
Everyone gets a trophy. Terrific, Tim. That's good. Everyone gets a trophy. Pick a kid. All right, let's make it special. Pick a kid. Just for that, I'm going on the record now. If the Central Catholic defense wins the award this week, I am protesting by. I don't know. I'll have to figure out a good protest to do it.
You know what? We actually...
You're not showing up next week.
Yeah.
I just joined the Josh Beebe Ramos fan club.
So we actually did have another team up last week. Oh, wait a second. You weren't here. I forgot about that. Oh, okay. So.
Well, good. I will get on you for that, too.
All right,
Bill, I'm shocked that you wouldn't stop this right when it started last week. I'm very depressed now. I had no confidence in you to keep him in his place.
I wasn't consulted in the 4. Ramos definitely gets my vote this week. Kid played a phenomenal game, and I know we're going to talk about Methuen later, but Methuen's defense has been pretty solid all year, and Ramos was no joke, so he's going to be getting my support this week.
All right, so when we talk about a specific kid, Hector, we'll do this for you. Tell me how they've been able to reload on quarterback here and what you've seen from Aiden Pereira. We got some video of him up on the screen now.
Yeah, look, the athleticism jumps out at you when you watch him play and make throws. Maybe you question being a sophomore. Would he be able to make the right decisions? That goes back to your coaching. John is I can't believe I'm about to say this, but John Sexton is kind of the Valley kind of quarterback whisperer, if you wanted to go with that. He has taken a lot of, you go back to Milano and Brett Edwards, kids he's taken under his wing and has just nurtured those kids along. They all started young, and Pereira starting young here. Look, Bill mentioned the coaching. They have a great staff, and John is the guy who deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he just he's into that offense, and those kids make the proper decisions. And again, let's not discount the fact that he's got playmakers on the other end, like every other Central quarterback has had guys who are catching the ball and making plays. Donadio and all these guys who are they turn 6-yard gains into 26-yard gains. Yeah, Finneran.
So wrapping up Central Lowell, I just want to show this was Battle of the Raiders as the Red Sea Instagram made before the game. Just want to show everybody the hype video off of Instagram from the Red Sea. They do this every week. This week was especially entertaining.
In first Friday Night Lights game this week, what's the atmosphere going to be like this week? We're expecting it to be very loud, very high tide, hundreds of thousands of people in the stands. Yo, you're ready to go. QB1! The Raider versus Raider game is always a big one. Pink out for the Red Sea. What are we expecting from them?
Okay, we're expecting a big turnout, a lot of people there.
Everyone wearing pink support BCA, you already know. And the real Raiders finna take the win, baby. Let's go Raiders!
So
It's always good to see Methuen's Michael Sater on the Central Red Raider video. That's awesome. Michael's a great kid, and great to coach him and Pup on and Methuen.
And they
I
delivered.
could feel the hair standing up on the back of Bill's neck right now as he watched that video.
No, you know what though, Hector, you talked about it earlier about the truth. There is an issue in high school football and high school sports about not enough kids attending the games. So I don't care what school, I don't care what my issues are. When you have fan support like that, and even in the Haverhill game, I wasn't thrilled with some of the fans and how they acted, but they still had about 150 kids there supporting the Hillies. Central always has basketball games. All their sports are always well attended, and that's something that needs to be a priority for all the superintendents and the principals of high schools. How do we get these kids in the stands? How do we get them school pride? So, all of my criticisms and all of my critique, there is nothing better than a bunch of kids supporting their high school fellow athletes and coming out to game after game and having a fan base that is. That's how it should be.
And one of the things I love about these videos, guys, is it shows personality out of this team. You got a little personality of Pereira. He's 100,000 in the stands. It was like, you see the personality of the student athletes there.
I agree, Tim. Anything you can do to promote, like Bill said, for the kids, that's cool. So, but I would like to double back on this though, Bill, real quick, because I think in the past I've made the statement that to be a good high school coach out of Methuen or in any sport, Salem, New Hampshire, Haverhill, you have to keep kids home. You mentioned the Hebrew kid. How is Methuen being impacted by Central? It used to be brutal. Let's go back, I want to say 20 years, maybe. Methuen sports got rated every year by Central Catholic. How is Methuen doing now? Because recently, Central hasn't had a ton of Methuen kids. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, no. I think it cycles each and every year. I think, Hector, what I'm struggling with is like the Michael Sater, the Hebert, the Lefebvre kid. These aren't just great athletes; these are great student athletes. So you're going to lose your percentage. I think what I get concerned about sometimes is the unknown kid, the 8 or 9 or 10 kids that go to Central with the hope of being that Central student athlete, and then because of their depth, because of the number of athletes that come in each and every year from Southern New Hampshire and all over Mass, end up not playing. I don't want to name any names, but I know 4 or 5 kids that are this seniors this year that are only playing a one sport now, or not even playing anymore because they can't keep up with the type of athletes that are coming in every year. And that's probably more my issue. I think the numbers, it's hard to give you a percentage. I think Coach Ryan has done a really good job. The Bows, the Cam Bows, those type of guys, they were going to Central regardless. There's a legacy there, and that part of it, I have no issues with that. That's a respect in your family and in a tradition that you can't beat. And Methuen High is going to do a better job. I think they have phenomenal teachers, and just like, Andover does, and every team, every high school has a private school kind of connected or near them that they're battling with. So this isn't a woes just Methuen. This is.
No. I say it everywhere, but like, I come in from as a coach at Masconomet High School. Okay, we've lost in this class. We lost the Mazzy kid, Nick Mazzy, Wiggins, and the Ciccarelli kid to Central Catholic. The Crowley kid, the quarterback at St. John's, could have been a Masco kid. The way I've always looked at it is, as a coach, is you got to be diligent to get the B kids. Rob Conrad, as I've always said, was not going to play at North Andover High School. He was going to St. John's Prep because he wanted the biggest challenge. I think with Jermaine, that's a big thing. But to be a good high school coach, you have to fight for those B-level kids to make sure you're giving them all you can to keep them home. Sometimes they're just going to go. They want to go to the prep, they want to go to Central, they want to go to Fenwick, whatever the school is. I gotcha. But I have seen, like, that was one of the things I saw with Tommy at Methuen High come in. He made sure he's making an impact on the kids at a young age to at least fight. I think Methuen had lost some fight and that percentage grew higher, Bill. You may not have realized it 20 years ago, but that percentage was way up, and you were losing a lot more of those kids that could have been impact kids at Methuen, and really, maybe you say, got lost at Central. Tommy's done a good job of keeping a lot of those kids home.
But I think Pat Graham started that by stepping in and changing that 0-win, year after year to winning.
So, like I say, you have to work as a public school coach now, and I just wanted to put that out there. I think Tommy's done a good job keeping those kids at home at Methuen, and Central's going to get his kids. Like you say, there are legacies and things like that, but I think they've done a good job.
All right, good discussion there, guys. We went a little long on this segment, so we will.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It was good. It was good discussion. So, we'll cut it there, and we'll come back after the break. We'll talk Methuen Andover, and then North Andover Chelmsford. We'll do that right after the break here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and MAPFRE, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? I just asked Val and his crew to find me a better auto and home insurance deal, and he connected me with Plymouth Rock, where I'm saving more than 40% over my previous insurance. Now, your results may vary, but give Davila and DeFusco a try. They pride themselves on having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or check them out at daviladefusco.com. Big shout out to the folks at AFC Urgent Care, Lisa Williams and her team over there. AFC Urgent Care, the right care right now. You'll never need an appointment. Got that persistent cough and cold, that cut that needs a few stitching, or need a sports physical and don't want to wait weeks to get into your primary doctor? AFC's streamlined approach helps you be seen quickly and feel better fast. In Methuen, in the Merrimack Street Medical Professionals Building, 380R Merrimack Street. In North Andover as well, in the Burton Grill Plaza. 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Go to afcurgentcare.com for more details. Hey, I want to tell you about Jen Hamilton, the realtor for Keller Williams Realty. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and she's a big supporter of all things local, especially youth sports. She's a big backer for Central Catholic and Methuen athletics, but she's a household name around the Merrimack Valley. Hey, the autumn market is in full swing. If you are thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is an all-time low, making this a seller's market. In a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So put Jen Hamilton's 33-plus years of experience to work for you today by calling for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home. Call Jen at 508-954-7941. A huge supporter of youth athletics. Listen, her record speaks for itself. She's one of the top sellers in the region for Keller Williams Realty. Hamilton is a household word. Call her at 508-954-7941.
Hector, help me out here.
Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila DeFusco Insurance. Some good off-camera talk, some CPAP, some laughs. But we're here to talk football back on screen. A game that maybe Mr. Bryant doesn't want to talk a lot about. Hector and I can carry the water here for the most part. Methuen Andover, 28-0, your final. Andover avenges last year's last-minute loss to the Rangers with a dominant performance. Josh Ramos, 14 carries, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns, a 69-yard TD run. He's got 800 rushing yards on the season now. Scott Brown, now we've been talking about this, guys, like what's going on with Harrington. Now, Brown played most of this game and 40 rushing yards, 49 pass yards. He didn't have to put up the numbers. Michael Slayton, 2-yard TD run, 12 tackles for the Golden Warriors. The Andover defense allowed Methuen inside the red zone just once. Anuti Moreno, 8 tackles. Seamus Florio, a sack. Joe Fierius and Kelvin Davila and Aiden Hatt, an interception apiece. For Methuen, the one highlight, as Bill mentioned, Kareem Coleman, 18 carries, 78 yards, kind of taking on a Wildcat quarterback, running back role. Different from, he's been wide out most of the time under Bryant, so a big game from Coleman. But so Bill, I guess the one thing I can ask you, because you were there, we've been asking about Harrington and Brown and the situation there. I mean, you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, Tim, Brown is special. He's good, man. There's an energy about him. You see good players, and Ramos is a great player, and he can run, but he's just good. Brown is at the quarterback position. When he runs, there's an energy about him that was impressive to watch, and taking nothing away from Victor Harrington. He's a special.
Harrington's just your standard pocket passer, a special quarterback. But I mean, Brown, you can see it. He like you said, he brings a dynamic and an energy.
I now know why there's a quarterback controversy in Andover, and I don't even think it's a controversy anymore. I think Brown is going to be your starting quarterback, and I think they're trying to do right by Victor. He did come in the second half, and it was 28-0, but Brown I think is a kid who is not a great problem to having another freshman stud quarterback, but yeah, he can throw it, and boy, when he runs the ball, there's energy and toughness, and he's not your bigger style kid. But, man, there was some hits that he took that he hopped up like, okay, next play. And Slayton is a legit defensive player. Romano and Methuen, I think, is probably the best defensive player in the conference. When we single out one specific kid on defense, not the whole defensive team, like Hector's issue is. But Slayton is all over that field and is a dominant presence for Andover.
It's funny. I said it a few weeks ago, Bill, and I know that the quarterback talk is the hot talk in Andover. If Andover plays defense,
yep,
they can play with anybody, because they're going to score points. They have that team speed, that athleticism. They have, EJ's put in a really good offense, and they've taken to it, and they make plays offensively. It's all about when they defend. Can they defend? They didn't defend against Central. They got run off the field. But they defended against an undefeated Methuen team, granted without his quarterback. But if they play defense, they're a good football team, really good football team.
And Slayton leads that. I mean, Slayton is just a spy. He's like radar on the ball on every play.
He's a tough kid, man.
Yeah.
Too.
And I want to add another piece that having only seen Andover this week, Hector, you're gonna appreciate these comments. Their kicking game is the best I've seen all year. They had a punter that was averaging 45, 50 yards a punt. There was a field position game going on in the first quarter, and Andover ruled that with their punting. They had a kickoff recovery, onside kick that was designed. I think that ball went in the exact spot they wanted it. They were right there, caught Methuen off guard. Their field goal, the extra points. So Andover probably has pound for pound the best kicking special teams aspect in the MVC without question.
Mm-hmm. So again, now you're not going to concede the league to Central Catholic, but now you're looking ahead to the playoffs, is Andover a team you got to watch and come because of the new dynamic with Brown and.
But I mean, it's got like Bill said earlier, though, Hector. It's got. I mean, they had him at home last week, and Central ran him off the field. I mean, you got to play their perfect game, and
right.
And
but there's nothing like getting punched in the mouth and not knowing how to respond.
Yeah.
and then you come back the following week and you knock off a solid Methuen team that, hey, you lose your quarterback, I get it, but Methuen's defense has been pretty solid.
For a reason. It's not just one player, yeah.
In Andover's, their offensive assault was Methuen didn't know how to answer it until the second half, and by then it was already 28-0.
Well, Bill, let's talk a little bit about that because we have some video. Let's talk a little bit about Ramos. I mean, the kid is a special guy. First of all, we got Brown, a Brown touchdown, but then we've got Ramos and the touchdowns from him. First a short one, and then that 69-yarder. I mean, that was really. We talked about this going into the game. You've got to stop him. Central was able to really contain him. And Methuen wasn't, plain and simple.
Well, I think they ran a little similar offense where they had Brown and Ramos. You didn't know who was getting the ball. So it was hard for them to figure out who to key on. And they really just mixed up offensively, and they were able to, both players were able to make it. The QB Brown had a couple of long runs that were finished off by Slayton, that were finished off by Ramos, an 8-yard run or 15-yard run, but it was the 40 to 50-yard run in that drive that really hurt him. And I think Methuen's, kind of them in a little bit of a funk. I think after that long run, they kind of just conceded the touchdown, where against Lowell, against Tewksbury, they were fighting tooth and nail. I mean, against Tewksbury, they had 4, goal line stances to stop them. They didn't have that heart yesterday, and it's too bad. I think the week for them this week is figuring, okay, how do we step up, because you're now playing that Central powerhouse that you can't have a letdown any downs. So the senior leadership better step up, and the coaches, because as bad as that loss was, they had a good second half. They just couldn't get any offense going.
Did you see enough out of Ganji to say, okay, there's some steps some tweaks that can be taken here for them to show Central some different looks and compete?
It's tough. I mean, you're asking a kid at not taking a lot of snaps, not doing it. I mean, they've been working him in practice and things. It's a lot to ask, and I think that with him at QB, it's a little bit of a different offense where he's a little bit more of a game manager, as opposed to obviously he's my kid, so it sounds like a jerk thing, but Connor can run, and you're not tackling him with one arm. You got to account for him, and then running the option, they have to hit him, and he's pitching the ball to Romano or Coleman, and they're getting the first downs. I think what hurt is we just couldn't get that first down. Our plays, I don't want to say predictable, but they were able to kind of figure out the offense pretty quickly. And I think for Ganji this week, it's got to figure out, how do I get those the 2nd and 8 to a 3rd and 1 as opposed to a 3rd and 6, and that's what Methuen struggled on. They just couldn't get that first down.
All right.
So Bill,
go ahead, Hector.
Real quick, circling back, Bill, when you're talking Brown, he only threw 6 times. Is he going to be able to throw the ball when teams kind of stack it up front and force him to throw? What do you see out of that?
I do. I think that's why Perry's keeping both quarterbacks, involved. I think when he did pass the ball, he had some pretty good success. So I do see him as a two-tool quarterback who can run and throw. I just think it's taking him a little longer to get into that comfort zone to be a solid passer. But I if you're asking me, I think he's going to be the man. I think he's going to be able to do that.
Okay.
All right, so there's our Methuen Andover take. Want to just wrap that up by giving a shout out to Country Kitchen. They are they're proud sponsor of the Methuen Rangers Report each week. A new sponsor to the show. Proud sponsor of the Methuen Rangers Report on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Country Kitchen. Listen, if you follow my Facebook. I'm a huge fan of Lynn and Eric and Darby and the whole Corey, the Keisha, the whole crew there at Country Kitchen. Great breakfast and just I'm a haddock connoisseur, and they by far have the best haddock in the valley. Their Friday haddock, and the portion you get for $12.99, it just cannot be beat. So check out Country Kitchen if you live in Methuen, you know of it. You don't get there, 18 Hampshire Street in Methuen, right there in downtown. So a huge thank you to Country Kitchen for sponsoring the Rangers Report. So want to talk about Chelmsford, North Andover next, guys. A 22-20 result, a back-and-forth game. It came down to the final play as the Lions came up, as we mentioned, about a half-yard short on a 2-point conversion to tie the game. So Will Schindler, he's out for like 3-4 weeks with a knee injury. Peter Radulski came in, started for him. He looked good from the get-go. 45-yard touchdown pass to Matt Chico, and set the tone for him early. Lions were able to answer. Brett Baker, 2 TD passes, a TD run. He had the 30-yard touchdown pass to Dylan Brotherston with 2.7 seconds left. For North Andover, Jaden Mencia, Freddie Gavin, Ricky Brutus, all strong on the ground. Gavin with 109 yards, Brutus with 70 yards on a 4-yard TD run, and Mencia with a 22-yard TD run. As we mentioned in the MVP vote, Tim, is it Iarone or Iarone, guys? Do you know?
I don't know.
All right, I'll go with Iarone. Iarone. 4 sacks. Sebastian Venti also strong. They pressured Baker all game. The Knights had 2 interceptions from Christian Ortega and Jack Carbone. Lions equally strong on defense. A block punt forced 2 turnovers, and again, Hector, for you, Mike Lapoli. A 72-yard punt in the game was a really key factor in the field position fight in this game. So, it's one of those situations, guys, where Andover's. I don't think this was a trap game. I don't think they were overlooking them, but I mean, Chelmsford just was there to play, and it's not like North Andover wasn't in that game. They were strong. It was a defensive battle. It was a field position battle, and North Andover got the better of it. But I know, like you said, Hector, earlier, I know coaches hate it. There aren't like moral victories like phooey, but man, that's got to lead somewhere when as Chelmsford you put up a game like that.
Well, yeah, Tim, I just say that just because of the way Chelmsford's been down. They've been down, not just down. They've been down. And it hasn't been the last year. It's been, kind of a cyclical thing. It's been a while. So I know, yeah, like you said, there's no positivity in defeat, but they're in the game now. Now, look, this was, you said was it a trap game for North Andover? I'm not sure you can have a trap game where a team is coming off 2 losses and doesn't have a starting quarterback.
Yep.
So, I think North Andover was there for a fight, and Chelmsford put up the fight they were looking for. Got to give some credit to the senior kid, Peter Radulski. I'm sorry, Pete Radulski, I think was his dad. Sandra Longo's prom date back in the day, if you guys are keeping score at home.
Wow.
At Andover High. Just to think about it in these terms, the kid is a senior, and he's waited his turn, and now all of a sudden he's thrust into the game and does a good job. Yeah, they run the football, and they spread it around, running the football to those 3 guys, Mencia, Brutus, and Gavin. But, the kid was patient and waited and does his job. I hate to use that term, but I'm going to use it.
And when he had to deliver the pass, he spot on to Chico there.
Program win, right? The kid's waiting around for his time, waits, steps in, program win. But I like to see the kid. Good for him, That's not everybody is a star. So if you're waiting your turn and you're doing the job, all the power to Peter Radulski for this one. Game ball to him.
Let's not forget, too, though, didn't Chelmsford run off a few wins in a row last year as well, though?
Towards the end of the season. Yeah, they did.
They end up winning 4 in a row.
Yeah, but I'm not counting the playoffs, Bill. They set those things up, and you know what I'm saying? League-wise now, right? I
But I'm just saying, as far as a program and coming into this year, I think they were a surprise team to watch because I think
coach,
they are coming back.
New coach with a good pedigree.
They beat Bill Ricker on Thanksgiving. Bill Ricker is in a similar situation. They were kind of down, and they're not an easy team to beat on Thanksgiving. So I think that's good news. I want Chelmsford. I want Chelmsford to beat them. Methuen has scrimmaged them the last 4 years, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, it wasn't a good scrimmage. We dropped them this year and picked up North Andover, and I thought that was a great scrimmage to end the preseason with. And it's good to see Chelmsford back in the mix because you want the Chelmsford Lions football to be solid. Yeah, it only helps the MVC.
Again, you and I, Bill, were of that age. I remember when Chelmsford was feared. Literally feared. No one wanted to go there. They were the team. So.
They showed up my senior year. They showed up to Drake it and watched our first game, and there was 65 kids in the stands watching the game. Right. And I'm like, I'm playing these guys next week. It looked like a freaking college team. So, I agree with you, and it's good to see them kind of on the way back. And I think their coach is legit. He's in the high school. He's around, and I think it's going to be a good thing for NBC.
Bill, how old are you?
Let me ask the wife. How old am I? I'm going to be 49.
No, you're 48.
I'm 48. I'm going to be 40.
49. Okay. All right. Yeah, I love that Hector. I've got the young voice, but I'm 46, Hector. I don't know if you knew that. You probably think I'm like 32.
I just feel old. You have young kids, Tim, too, right?
It's
just
that's the younger. Yeah, it's right. It's true. I got a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old. The 10-year-old definitely keeps me young. So, all right. So, a good win, a good hold there for North Andover, and we'll see who capitalizes on momentum coming out of that game. So, we'll take a quick break. We will come back. We'll talk Haverhill Lawrence. We'll talk Drake it. Against Acton Boxborough a little bit, and we'll wrap things up here in the Week 5 edition of MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila made that a reality in February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and MAPFRE, just to name a few. Need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home? I just asked Val and his crew to find me a better auto and home insurance deal, and he connected me with Plymouth Rock, where I'm saving more than 40% over my previous insurance. Now, your results may vary, but give Davila and DeFusco a try. They pride themselves on having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them at 225 Broadway or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, or check them out at daviladefusco.com. Final segment of Week 5 of MVC Gridiron Weekly. Hey, we want to thank all the viewers, all of the voters, all the folks who've been sending in video, have been sending in suggestions in terms of what we can do with the show. Really appreciate it. Keep spreading the word. Our Twitter followers grow. Our Instagram. I'm getting a little bit more active on Instagram. And Facebook's been great. I mean, we're all over social media, and we really appreciate the support that we've seen from all the viewers, all the fans this season. Keep it coming. We really appreciate it. The show really, we're doing it for you, and you guys make the show with all the feedback. So huge appreciation there. All right, guys, let's talk Lawrence Haverhill battle of winless teams.
Hold on, Tim. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
I thought I was tuned into Fish Talk with the Haddock Fanatic. This is a football show?
Trust me,
the
man.
Haddock Fanatic was
Have
in the
you
house?
been there? Have you been to Country Kitchen on a Friday,
Fanatic.
Hector? Are you a Haddock guy at all?
I am an anything guy, Tim. But yeah, I like it. I'm going to have to go there now.
Here goes
Fridays.
Here goes our 8-minute structure
brother,
again.
Fridays at Country Kitchen, you got to try the Haddock. I will not steer you wrong on Haddock.
All right.
Huge
All
fan.
right, back to football.
All
back
right,
to football.
you got it.
Huge win for Sandro Longo's Lawrence Lancers, who stepped up and beat a game Haverhill squad that pushed Methuen to the limit a week before. Great effort by Lawrence to get on the board.
Absolutely, it was a back and forth game as much as you're going to see. Vinny Schmidt, 17 carries, 141 yards. The junior caught the game-winning touchdown, a 12-yard TD catch. Sergio Mendez, an 8-yard TD run to give the Lancers get the Lancers on the board. Jacob Tameo, 10 of 16, 131 passing yards, 43 rushing yards. Manny Lara, 7 catches, 62 yards. Brady Scaffis, another solid game for the Hillies, 11 of 19, 185 yards, 2 TD passes. And Tayshawn McGee, 5 catches, 122 yards, an 89-yard TD reception for the Hillies. So just a back and forth game as we put some highlights of the game up on the screen here, guys. But in the end, I mean, the Lancers they both had some really really tough games in terms of some early season losses. You could see it being put together. Obviously, Haverhill against Methuen, but as you mentioned, Hector, a big win, putting it all together for the Lancers.
Look, if you're Lawrence High and you get that 89-yard pass thrown against you for Haverhill to take the lead early in the fourth, you're thinking, oh my gosh, here we go again. We would have been so close, and this is
again,
again and again and again. They showed some grit. They stopped Haverhill after getting inside the 10 and then turning it over, and then they found a way to come up with the stop, and then they put the final drive together. I hate to be that guy who focuses on the quarterback, but I will be it again for the second straight game. Jacob Tamayo has taken a beating in his years there. Like, he's always under a rush. They don't protect him great up front. The kid hangs around and has done a great job. Good for him. Congratulations to him, because he's a tough kid. I love to see a kid like that succeed.
And hey, my big question, 5 minutes ago was, who the heck is Vinny Schmidt? No, and Vinny answered it. Vinny answered. He actually tweeted out, and he wanted us to know that he also had 24 yards of receiving, and he blocked a punt in the Haverhill game as well. So I was able to go on his Twitter and check out Vinny, and
did he add that to the vote? Is that
42 minutes ago, right on the vote. It's from Vinny Schmidt, 24 receiving yards, along with a block punt for Vinny Schmidt.
I only got 280 characters there, so I couldn't get it all in there. But good job by Vinny to sell it.
But it goes back to what Coach Aylward said. These kids love what we're doing. We're promoting the student athletes. We're getting it out there, and they're now being interactive. And this is, guys, isn't it what we talked about? Because it really is about them, and as good as the Haddock is, we also want to talk about who the hell is Vinny Schmidt.
Yeah, good for him. Like I say, now, Bill, you kind of mentioned the crowd and what have you. Lawrence Haverhill's become a pretty good rivalry.
Absolutely.
It goes, it might go back to the ugly days. Okay, I'll leave it at that. When Lawrence ran it up once, and Haverhill didn't take on Haverhill's turf, and things got a little crazy, and it was a what are they doing kind of rivalry at the time. But it's become a pretty solid rivalry, and the teams like to play against each other. So, I can't give enough credit for the Lawrence kids who keep battling week after week under Rhandy, and he keeps them going.
The good thing is their numbers still seem up. I know you had a lot of kids, and you lose someone that good who he's now in North Andover, bringing a ton of coaching talent there. I'm glad that Rhandy was able to keep the numbers going and keep that program solid.
Hey, one thing I wanted to mention in terms of you, Hector, you were talking about Tameo. He's got a 3.55 GPA. He's in what's called Abbott Lawrence Academy, which is a school of advanced studies there at the high school for higher performance students in the district. And it's a selective program that students are admitted to after 8th grade. and he's looking at Bates College. So I mean, it's not just like you mentioned, he's gotten beat up on the field, and he's put the work in the classroom as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, he's a good story. One of the good stories at Lawrence High. They haven't had a ton of them there, especially this year with the losing. But hats off to them, and circling back, Vinny Schmidt, baby. Get it done, Vinny. Right, get it done, and we'll see how Lawrence can do what they've got the rest of the way. That this is a team that all of a sudden is going to keep playing. And they've got the tough one with Central coming, obviously on Thanksgiving, but we'll see how Lawrence can do. Over the final few games, they fought. They really have fought. They played tough, and so give them credit. It wasn't a sea of yellow flags yesterday in that one, which they've been.
That's what dooms them, Hector.
Yeah.
You're right. The penalties, the late hits, just the brain, the brain pauses. You're 100% right.
So that's a big step for them.
Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, very excited to have two for two today on the video with the coaches. Now we got Coach Rhandy Audate on the line with us. Coach Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, you got the Adam Schefter set up. You're set up better than us here for the video. So
hey, like I tell you guys, I can't take the credit for this. I wish I could. This is actually the brains behind the operation. My fiance had the setup. So
brains,
absolutely. Football helmets.
My home office. This is where we get down. This is where we get things going for Lancer football.
Not even married yet. He's already like a veteran on giving the fiance the credit.
Hey,
that's
hey, happy wife, happy life. How it is.
Happy life, baby.
Absolutely.
Coach, what are the two helmets behind you?
Okay, the two helmets behind me actually to over my right shoulder. This is the Lawrence Lancers helmet, and over my left shoulder, this is actually my Merrimack College helmet where I played football over there.
Nice. Fantastic.
All right, so we obviously want to talk about the win against Haverhill, but we didn't have you on the program last year, and that's our bad. But we want to just talk a little bit. Tell us a little bit in terms of
take it over.
How you building the program there in Lawrence.
Yeah, building it from the ground up. And, a lot of the foundation and what we really decided to build it upon was it has to start in school. And getting the kids academically eligible, getting them ready for college and careers and beyond. Not every single one of our football players will go on and play college football, but we're developing the skill and the talent to have some guys go on to the next level. Last year, in our first year, Brandon Santel, as you know, he was the defensive MVP of the conference, and he ended up, now he's at Assumption College playing over there, and so that's our goal. And we had a small senior class. Miguel Roman last year is now is at Hudson. And so it was a small senior class, but more importantly, it was a small senior class of qualifiers. And really what we're going for are academic qualifiers, guys who are ready to go to the next level. And so, that's a big focus for us over here. We take a lot of pride in that and pushing the students to achieve the best that they can in school. And that's where it starts. And we always say when we have great weeks in school, that's when we have our best week in the game. And it showed this past week as well. But just taking over the program, that's a lot of our focus is getting these kids ready for life. And it's not just on the football field, but life beyond as well.
So, Coach, what would you say would be a couple of themes for you and your coaching staff? Because growing up in Lawrence, graduating in 89, obviously I haven't been there in a while, but I do work in the area. It's not an easy area. What is your message for that kid that doesn't have that support or lives in an area that isn't, an easy area to grow up? How do you convince him to not work a job or not skip school or whatnot? What's your message?
Right. Well, a lot of it, as much as in the perfect world, right, we can have student athletes just come to school and play football and go to school. And that's not the case here in this community. And I've been in this community since I was in college. My redshirt freshman year at Merrimack, I was hurt for my senior year playing over at Everett. And I actually didn't play on the field. So I spent a lot of time volunteering in the community. And I ended up at the Boys and Girls Club of Lawrence, one of the best places I could have landed. But it introduced me to a lot of the struggle around the city and some of what the kids were going through. But what I saw there were how dedicated the kids were, playing sport, basketball. And I actually learned how to hoop until I got over there. But even being from there and transitioning and taking what I learned from my work over there and taking it to the school system. And a lot of, motivating students, we can't be the only motivators. We have to teach them how to become motivated and goal-oriented students. And we start with, small goals. And from the smaller goals, they start achieving those and really building that confidence to say, you know what, I can do the right thing. And I don't have to go to the streets. And I don't, and some of them, they have situations where they do have to work. But how we structure the year, we make sure that a lot of their summertime, they have a lot of time to work. And we talk about being responsible and conscious about spending and what they're doing with that. So, it's a lot of life skills training. A lot of that stuff goes into it. And but the kids have bought into it. They appreciate our care for them, and we're tough on them about it. But it's really, managing their time wisely, and they're showing that they can do it. A lot of our kids actually are still working. Some of them work on Saturday after the game. And then, but this is what we have here, and the kids really embrace it. The coaches embrace it. We love it. We appreciate the kids for it. And we're just happy we could go out there and get the first win.
Coach, I wasn't aware that you were under the tutelage of the Jedi Master, Steve Kelly.
Oh,
at the Lawrence Boys Club.
Yes. When you say that name, it rings bells in the community. He's a great, great man. And, I consider him just like a father figure to me. He's been great to me and to my fiance as well. So, but he's part of the family. He's a great man.
Coach, you've had a couple of the season started. You had a real close call there the first week. The guys have looked. Looked motivated. Looked ready to get that win. It just hadn't happened up until this week. How have you kept them just focused on working the system, and it will pay off?
We have a saying here. We say, we got to ride the wave. And so the first couple of weeks, there were really tough losses. The Burlington week, we lost by 8 points. And going into Drake, who's another tough team, Drake, it's a really tough team. They're playing well. And, so they, beat us by a couple of points. And that was, for us, especially going into the season with all the excitement going into it and all the hard work the kids had put in, that was a disappointment and a letdown. And for a lot of kids, didn't deal with it well. Then we got out to Andover and didn't perform as well as we had liked. And then going down to Dennis Armor to the Cape. And again, we just squandered on opportunities. We moved the ball and just, countless little turnovers and penalties and little things, but still kind of having that hangover from the couple of games. And so, we slowed things down. One of our assistant coaches, we had like a community circle. It was really good for the team to really talk about, just what they were feeling about the season and how they felt about not just the season, but life and how they got into football. Because as you know, a lot of the kids, their first sport isn't football. We have some basketball players on the team, kids who have transitioned from baseball, and wrestlers, and you see in our 2 inside linebackers and Dewey Baez, Troncoso, and Eric Sanchez. And so these are the kids that are learning to love the game. A lot of them haven't played their entire life. But again, they've bought into it. And so just to keeping them focused, it's really just been, again, staying true to the fundamentals and staying true to, the school first mentality and making sure we're here every day, doing the little things right, going to bed on time, not going out on the weekends, and handling your body the right way. Because, a lot of our guys are two-way guys. And so after the games, they really need to take recovery seriously. And so just having them buy into what it is to be a football player, because it's a lot different than a lot of other sports, as you guys know. So, the recovery and all the other extra things that are needed, so they're really buying into that. And that's what's really helped us to come out. And I thought, we made a few mistakes yesterday that could have definitely cost us the game, but we were able to overcome it and showed some resilience and definitely were able to pull it off at the end.
So let's talk about beating the Hillies, getting the first win, and
yeah.
What are the positives? What are you going to bring this week to say, look, these are the things that we did that got us the W. Now we're moving on to our next opponent.
Yeah, I think it's the hard work factor. It's the pairing of the two things. And I know I sound like I'm repeating myself, but we talk about this a lot here, and it's something that I really do believe in, and the coaching staff really does believe in as well. If we continue to come in and put the work in like we did last week, and focus and dial in and study the material, study schoolwork, and put the Instagram and the social media and all the other things down and limit the distractions, that's really where we're going to be successful. And so we're really looking forward to playing this opponent this week. Lowell's got a lot of great players in their team, and as you know, Brendan Tighe, he's I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly.
No, you got it. You got it right.
Yeah. He's an amazing player, and he does a lot of things really well. So we're gonna have to do a lot to contain him and focus in on the schemes and the different looks that we're gonna have to show them in order to slow him down.
Yeah, it's mostly Tim that mispronounces names,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we're pretty good.
So even if you got it wrong, Coach, I was gonna let it go because at least I'm not the only one butchering names. So, Coach, just tell us in terms of you mentioned you still had those mistakes yesterday, but I mean, what does it mean, and what did it mean? Not that I want you to give away what happened in the locker room afterwards, but I mean to see that they still had that resilience and to get that W. What was that like after the game yesterday?
Oh, just a sense of relief off of the kids' shoulders, just because, this has been a long time coming. And for the kids, it's been a month. We've been grinding. The kids have been, working their butts off. And just the ability to pull away with the win and do enough where, you make some mistakes, but you're able to bounce back and you're able to really overcome the mistakes and make plays at the end and just show resiliency. And that's really what we keep talking about, is playing 4 quarters, and they did it. And so the excitement in the locker room was amazing. Seeing the kids, Vinny was able to get into the locker room late because he was getting interviewed, and see the kids embrace him because, he's a transfer student. And so seeing all the kids finally, really get him in, and he's in the brotherhood, and he really earned his stripes today and showed what he was about. So, and he had a turnover, that really he was worried about. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. You talk about resiliency. He had that fumble, but then came right back and got the chance to to get the game winner.
Yeah, what I love. Go ahead, Coach.
No, I just heard you say he's a transfer because I haven't heard the name, and as much as I'm a Methuen guy, I've been following Lawrence and the name Vinny Schmidt. I'm sorry, it jumps off the page to me. So where did he come from?
So he's a transfer from Greater Lawrence Tech. I believe he came over some point at the end of the last school year. He's a baseball player as well, from what I understand. So, yeah, he transferred over to us, and it was after his season. Had a great season over there, and then he's here with us now. And so ever since, he came in, he's really been about football and been dedicated to it, and really has aspirations to play at the next level, and talked about wanting to come here to achieve those dreams. And so we're going to help him get there. But he's someone, as you can tell, he has a lot of he's very savvy about the game. He has a lot of knowledge in terms of positioning and where he needs to put his body and how to avoid contact and how to create it. He's not a very fast kid, but he's very elusive. And so, it was good to see him go out there and perform well.
Here with Coach Rhandy Audate from Lawrence on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Coach, talk just a little bit about Jacob Tamayo, just because your quarterback's got to be your leader in terms of keeping the locker room together, keeping everybody together through the ups and downs. And this is a real special kid you got there.
Yeah. Jacob, he's not a very vocal guy, but he likes to lead by example, and he's a student in Abbott Lawrence Academy here at Lawrence High School. And he's doing a great job. 3.55 GPA, hard worker in the classroom. Leader on the field. He's always at practice. He's always doing his schoolwork. Doesn't make excuses about how much how much of a load he has. He worked close to a full-time job throughout the summer while training for football and attended a lot of different college camps. So the kid is very motivated. He really wants to go to the next level as well, and wants to lead the Lancers and be one of the best to ever do it here. And so he's definitely on his way. There's obviously still things that we have to improve upon, and he knows it as well. And that's what's best about him. He's got the humble spirit enough to go out there and recognize that as much success as he's had this year, that he knows that we can still be better, and that if we still limit some of those mistakes, we could be a team that could really be formidable.
Coach, talk a little bit about, the off season and getting folks, prepared. I know we talked earlier on about, the little penalties and things, and that's been something, I'll be honest, has gone back to even when I played 100 years ago. What's the message off season, getting guys lifting, conditioned, and things like that to keep that momentum going?
Right. And knowing how things are in the community. Kids have a lot of other things going on throughout the summertime and family trips back home to the Dominican Republic. And so sometimes kids are gone for the entire summer and they come back, and sometimes kids take a few weeks off. And so really getting kids to buy into really, the off season is as that's where you win and lose your games. And so getting kids to buy into not but also what we're doing in the later months of the year. So, the kids have been, they bought into it. A lot of them have, and it's showing. And so, as running an offense and running a defense takes a lot. And so getting the kids going both ways and really, we're trying to build the depth. And so now you're seeing some of the younger kids start to come out and they start to catch on to the schemes and some of the things that we're doing, both offensively, defensively, and special teams. That's what's really bringing us to stay in games and continue to fight into the fourth quarter. Because without those, younger guys, we really don't have enough.
Coach, talk a little bit in terms of just the buy-in from the community. How are you? The wins haven't been there, so to speak. But I mean, talk a little bit in terms of just how you've worked to really get community buy-in.
Right. And, just to start, first of all, the community's been great with us, and they've been very patient. They have been huge supporters of the kids. And, my goal, eventually we'd love to fill up that big, beautiful stadium, right? But having people show up there on Saturdays when we have a lot of working class folks who are taking time off from work to show up to their kids' games and show up to their family members, and just people who are alumni who are just showing up and want to see what's going on with Lancer football. So we've had, more of a crowd, and it's been great to see them support us even throughout the rough times. And I think that's the best part about it. And after the game, it was great to see the kids go over to the fans and, have a little moment with them, because it was just, long overdue. And they've been here, some of the games with rain, and, they go into, halftime in one game. We thought they were gone, and they had just gone under the bleachers and still come out and supported us, drudging by Andover. But it was, it was just good. It's a good feel. And the community's still building. It's not, where we still want it. We still want more people there. We want, more school staff there. We want more everybody there. But, that's going to come over time. And I think, similarly, when you go to a big LHS basketball game and you see all the folks in attendance for the basketball game, that program's got long, sustained success. And so that's the goal, and we're at the beginning of it. But, we're in it for the long haul.
Coach, that's a perfect segue. I knew Paul Neal really well, back in the day. And one of the things he did was the study hall hours and the dinners. Yeah. And that obviously works, but when you got 12, 15 kids, it's a little easier than having 70 plus kids. So,
right.
How is that as a head coach of a pretty large football team where you're really kind of that uncle, that dad, that mentor for so many kids?
Right. And in order for the team to be successful, it can't really just fall on one person. It can't just be all on me. I've got assistant coaches who are very dedicated, volunteer coaches who are very, very dedicated, our volunteer freshman head coach, and all of the staff members we have on our varsity staff are really committed to buying into saying, look, kids, we're not just here coaching ball. We want to know what's going on with you in life, and we want to support you in that. And we're going to push you, and sometimes it's going to be a little tough on you, and we're going to be a little, but it's necessary in order to get them through. And I couldn't possibly do it all by myself. Like as you said, it's a huge high school. We're either second or third largest high school in the state every year. So to get the school to function and just get this team to function, it's a whole family thing. And we have also great support from school administrators as well, who always communicate with us about things and student issues or student positives as well, to help shine light on some of the great things the kids are doing. And so a lot of the staff members have bought into helping the kids apply for colleges and getting them into one goal. We have so many different programs throughout the Lawrence High School that it's amazing to see the whole community buy-in and the whole staff buy-in as well. And now it's just we got to give them a reason to want to come out in the cold weather to see us play all the time. But that, and I know that will come.
Coach, you definitely have the "we just won the game" smile going on right now.
Hey, if you had called me beginning of the last month, I don't think I'd be smiling ear to ear as I was. But it just feels great. And again, we're not. This isn't it, and it's not just the one win and that's it. We definitely want to come into Lowell and go in and grab a couple wins at Lowell and at Methuen as well. And so we're just not looking ahead of it. We have these next 2 weeks to kind of just buckle down and focus on and dial in and really see what we could make of the season.
I mean, you guys were so close with Burlington. Played Drake it just as close as you could play them. I mean, so you watch the team and we talk about them every week, and it's like you can see the progress. And I know obviously you can see it. It doesn't make Sundays any easier, I'm sure. But
right.
But I mean, you could see that this was building, and so all right. So, give us just some of the unsung heroes that we might not see in the box score in terms of the guys that have really been the leaders and contributed to getting this W.
Right. And so in the stat column, you don't always see guys like Eric Sanchez, who, are two of our inside linebackers. I really talk about these guys, Eric Sanchez, number 23, and Dewey Baez Troncoso, number 44. Was actually the younger brother of the Central Catholic linebacker last year. I don't know. His name was but the kids, both of those guys, you really see them shine throughout the game in terms of fitting things up on the run or getting into pass lanes. Even Devin Reynoso, who stepped in big at defensive back yesterday for us and gave up a touchdown, but was still showing resiliency and got back out there with a positive attitude and executed part of a defense that was able to make some late stops for us. So you hear the names like Jacob Tamayo and Manny Lara and Isaiah Richards from time to time, but it's really those unsung heroes. And let's talk about this offensive line who has continued to come out for us and give Jacob plenty of time and provide passing lanes and they're still working through the little, holding penalties, things like that kind of get us throughout the game. But, we appreciate their aggressive nature. And I think that's where those things are coming from. And we will, we'll learn to build off of that and limit those mistakes. But they're really playing well for us. They're on assignment. And they're very communicative. They do a great job of adjusting on the fly to things. And so that's really been a testament to not just Coach McGinnis, the offensive line coach, but our assistant running backs coach, James Jackson, who's come in and worked with the running backs on vision and the patience. And so you've seen the running game really improve this year, and that's what's opened up a lot of the passing lanes for us and given us a lot of those lanes that we like to get into.
I'm gonna be honest, Coach. You know your stuff. This is great to get to know you and hear you talk about football. You definitely have a love of football, and like I said, as an old Lawrence High guy, this is awesome to have you on. My last game at Lawrence High was a 5 below drubbing last Thanksgiving game against Lowell. So I am definitely rooting for you to get that win this week against Lowell. It was like a 100-year tradition, Lawrence Lowell Thanksgiving, and when Lawrence High hit the tough times, when we moved out of the Merrimack Valley, that was one of the last. That was the last time. I know you guys have since played, but that was the end of that tradition. So this is a huge week for the Lancers, and getting that W against Lowell would be huge.
Oh, it would be sweet. It'd be sweet. And as one of the players I just mentioned, as Dewey Baez once said, he said, he was referencing the Julian Edelman comment, and he said it'd be one hell of a story. So, that's what we're going for. That's what we're shooting for here is just, to pull off a miracle at the end of the season and, get 2 wins. And it starts here with Lowell, but, more importantly, it starts tonight. And we say to the kids, it starts tonight, and what they do tonight with the day off of school tomorrow and showing up, early in the morning, ready to get to work, because we're going to need the whole work week if we're going to be able to pull this one off.
All right, Coach, you've given us longer than we asked. Before we let you go here, we were talking about him earlier, but Vinny is part of the MVP vote.
Yes.
Give us your best elevator pitch in terms of why the fans should be pulling for Vinny.
Yeah, in terms of an all-around game, Vinny, I told you about the block punt at the beginning of the game that was huge to set up the first score. Making huge defensive hits in the red zone down the line and jarred the ball loose from number 29 from Haverhill. Made a great attempt on the catch. They had a great play call. It was a great scheme, and Vinny made a great play and overcame his coaching in that one and was able to make the play for us. And it was awesome. It was awesome to see him just go both ways, and he was catching the ball out of the backfield, running the ball. When you talk about an all-around player. And playing the entire game and, not really subbing out. And I think that's just when I see players like that, I always say, those are the best. And we're going to see one of those next week and Brendan. But those are the guys that I always say, when I played, I wish I could have been a guy like that. And so whenever I see them, I say, really kudos to them. And, just not just the work he put on the field that day, but he had a day like he did because of his solid film work and his week of practice.
Bill, any last thoughts from you?
I do. Coach, are you on Twitter?
We are on Twitter. My Twitter presence isn't as strong as I'd like, but you know what? I will be getting on it some more. We are. Our Instagram handle is at LHS Lancers Football, at LHS Lancers Football. And so from there, you'll see I don't recall the Twitter handle off the top of my head, but we're gonna get on that a little bit more.
All right, but get on Twitter because Vinny right now, Coach. Vinny is in a close battle right now. Got 29% of the vote. He is ahead of Josh Ramos and Tim Iron from North Andover, both at 28%. So we got to get the Lancers out to get Vinny Schmidt to get the victory this week.
Nice. That'll be huge. Yeah. So we've already told the kids, and the kids are all excited about it. They're supportive, and that's the best part about it. They built a little brotherhood with each other, so they want to see each other succeed. So yeah, we'll get it out there.
And I'm going to be texting Mayor Rivera to tell him to get on his Twitter as well to support.
Yes.
Support. It's all Schmidt all week. We've got to get Vinny to win this.
Yeah.
Win this week.
I'll tell you what.
I like it.
I'll tell you what. It warms our heart just in terms of what we're trying to build with the show to see Vinny actually got on there, to see the athletes are on there watching, and to see Vinny was on there. I only got 280 characters. I used to only have 140. Now I got 280 characters to kind of fit all 4 of those into the cell job, and so I couldn't get the block punt in there. I couldn't get the receiving yards. And Vinny got out there and was like, don't forget the 24 receiving yards at the block punt.
Yeah, and that right there is what sold me. That sold me.
I expected that from him. So that's the true form. That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. Coach is going to love to hear that.
Coach, just absolute pleasure to have you on here. I appreciate you making time on a Sunday for us, and huge congratulations on the first win, and looking forward to seeing against Lowell this next week, and just what you guys can come up with the rest of the season here.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for having me on, and really appreciate the support.
Thanks, Coach, all day. We'll talk to you very soon.
Final segment of Week 5 of MVC Gridiron. Congratulations to the Lancers. And then the final game of the week, Drake had played Acton Boxborough. Scoreless first quarter, and then the Colonials just took charge in a 42-14 win over Drake. Nate Sullivan from Acton Boxborough, 3 TD passes for the Colonials. JT Santiago, 280 yards, 3 TDs for the Middies, 124 rushing yards, 94 pass yards. Dominic Silvestro, a 13-yard TD catch, his 4th of the year. And then Sloan Carter, 10 carries, 45 yards, and a 17-yard TD run for the Middies. So tough game for the Middies. They fall to 3-2, going out of conference for this one. But still, a tough team under first-year coach Jordan Murphy.
Yeah, back to work. Time to regroup for them, get back to the league, and finish strong. And obviously they'll be pointing towards Methuen, obviously, the rest of the way.
Don't forget the Drake at Tewksbury matchup. I think could push Drake Tewksbury to further I don't want to say dominance, but a higher seed for the playoffs, but could also kind of seal Drake's fate for the rest of the year. If they lose that one, it's now you're 500 and your promising 3-0 start is not looking as solid. And Methuen's in the same boat. You got tough loss in Andover, you got Central, and then Lawrence is obviously resurging, and it's the tale of 2 halves of the season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk quickly. A quick shout out to, as we mentioned, Shane Aylward, the Week 4 MVP. As we've said, and we want to make it clear, so the fan vote is 25% of the vote, and then Bill, Hector, and I each get a vote in there. So get online, get voting for your guys at MVC Gridiron Week. Our nominees this week, and listen, I will certainly include you gentlemen more. It's just I got to get it up. I got to get the poll up earlier. So certainly didn't mean to slight you guys in the least. So
I can't be the only one that provides a little bit of conscience and objectivity to this, Tim, with the non-deciding unit of team. We would like a player up there. Can we just vote on that? If you keep it to 4 players, Tim, you won't hear one peep out of Bill or I about that. But it's the unit thing, Tim. We got to stop that right now.
Okay. All right.
And here's my other suggestion too: is I think each one of us, obviously, right now, have to come and pick a player. But maybe for the fans to see it, I'm gonna retweet who I pick with a comment, So we kind of put the fan controversy down the road, so they know where we maybe not though, because I don't want them thinking that no matter what they do is
yeah, and that's kind of
vote.
why I haven't been really promoting our picks on Twitter, because I don't want to sway the vote, and I don't want people to think it's a done deal, because it really isn't.
The president of the Josh Ramos fan club doesn't want to sway the vote over there? Oh, my God. Nobody's lobbied harder. Trump was looking for you to run his super PACs. Come on, Tim.
Oh, boy. That is awesome.
He came on the show. It was a great interview, and I mean, he's leading the MVC in Russian, so it shouldn't be that hard of a lobby,
Lobby it for Tim to try and sway the vote.
All right, so wait a minute now. So maybe the fans this week are going to be key, because Tim's clearly going to go Ramos. He's got the poster on the side of the wall over there, Josh Ramos poster.
Off camera, yep.
Yep. Hector, clearly you're going to go with North Andover. And how can I not go with my Lancer?
No. What do you mean?
He's definitely not going with the central defense. We know this much.
All Vinny Schmidt all the time.
He's on the Vinny Schmidt bandwagon. All right.
Absolutely. Big win for Lawrence. Yep. Vinny Schmidt, what put me over the top, though, was the punt block that he logged in with. He had a punt block.
I hear you, but as a
and listen, I love that he put his stats out there. So it's kind of tough to vote against him when he's out there, promoting and campaigning. So
now he's now texting me right now, so I'm all Vinny Schmidt.
Is he?
All day.
No, he's not. Is he?
No, he's not.
He's raging against the Wood Ramos machine.
Yes.
But still, I'm with Vinny Schmidt, so that's what I'm going against.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a bumper sticker. I love Vinny.
I'm with Schmidt. So listen, it was 2% for Vinny out of the gate. It was not looking good, and Bill and I were both like, "Come on, where's the Vinny bandwagon?" And
it has arrived.
It has arrived on Moss, because it's as of we're talking right now, it's 33% for Vinny, 28 for Tim Iannarone, and 26 for Ramos, 13 for the Central defense. Central seems to wake up. They're like the Dodgers. They seem to wake up late on Sunday, and the Central vote seems to come out around 4:00 in the afternoon. So don't count them out at all either. So.
Well, it's hard for the tweets to get all over Mass and Southern New Hampshire, so it takes a while for them to rejoin Twitter world.
And since there's more than one kid, Tim's got 27 defenders, all looking to get the vote to themselves. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so there's your selections. Vote by 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, and we will see how that plays out. So far, so good. We had our highest vote total again last week, so keep the enthusiasm coming. We'll see if the Lawrence, the North Andover, the Central, the Andover crowd can get out the vote, and we'll see how that plays out. The schedule for next week is as follows. Friday, Drake it at North Andover. Right now, it's scheduled for 6 p.m. on Friday. Now, Bill, we had that discussion about the EEE thing and folks making some adjustments on the games. This one might stand on Friday, it seems, right?
They talk about the frost, and what I've heard in my in-depth research and my calls to multiple government officials, it's got to be a hard frost, which means you're talking multiple hours of just temperature under 32 degrees. So I don't know, I'd be surprised.
So as of right now, scheduled for Friday at 6 p.m. at North Andover. We will keep you informed if that changes. We'll keep you informed on Twitter as soon as we hear something. Lawrence at Lowell, scheduled for 7 p.m. That will stand since it's in Lowell. Billerica at Malden Catholic. The Rangers played Malden Catholic, beat them earlier in the season, so we'll see what the Indians do at Malden Catholic, 7 p.m. on Friday. Saturday slate of games, Haverhill at Andover at 12 p.m., the Methuen at Central Catholic at 1 p.m., Chelmsford at Tewksbury at 1:30 p.m. So
that Methuen at Central is at Lawrence, not at
Lawrence
Central
High
Catholic.
School. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, gentlemen, thoughts just overall on the schedule?
I'm still trying to figure out why would they play at Central, Bill?
Because Central has a football field. They have a turf
I
field.
know, but it's not a stadium.
No, I know. I'm just putting it out there.
All right, just checking.
I wasn't. My wife just laughed too, and I'm like, I wasn't doing it as a dig. It's at Lawrence Stadium. It wasn't. I throw plenty of digs out there that I mean. That was not one of them.
Okay.
It's at Lawrence Stadium.
Unintended.
It was an unintended dig. It really was.
Tell your wife we're thinking on the same wavelength over together.
No, she just started laughing. I looked at her like, "What are you laughing for?" And then I look at you two, and you're like, "What was that?" I'm like, "There was nothing there.
Nothing sinister behind it. All right.
No, not at all.
Any other thoughts on the schedule, guys?
Another interesting week for Andover to look into what they do and how they react to such a good week this week. What's next on their agenda and how they handle it. Because, again, you have the young quarterback dynamic, how they handle things moving forward, and can they stamp themselves as a real football team. I realize it's Haverhill, which hasn't won yet, but still, it'll be interesting to see how the next step Andover makes.
And it's about matchups. And Haverhill's got a really, really good offensive and defensive line, and some good linebackers. So is it a team that can stop Ramos and kind of put more pressure and go right back to what you said, Hector? Can the new quarterback Brown, can he pass the ball? So that's something that will be interesting.
Another interesting.
And then
yep, go ahead.
What does Barica do? You're in the game, you're in the dogfight, you're playing your rival. Coach Aylward said it. It's the game they circle on the map. They're in the same division. What does Barica do after a tough second half against Tewksbury? Do they come back and blow out Malden Catholic, or do they kind of regroup and struggle? So this will be an interesting week for Barica as well.
All right, gentlemen. Final thoughts on the week, and any final thoughts to share with our audience before we get out of here?
For me, it's real simple. I'm Schmidt all the way. Vinny Schmidt. Let's go. Get on the vote, and let's put Vinny on the map.
I just have a sudden urge for seafood, so that's my quest on Sunday afternoon. So.
Sadly, it's only Fridays at Country Kitchen, but I'm lobbying for more, but it's hey, we can meet up, Hector. We can have dinner together. It'd be lovely.
Tim, they only allow me Methuen at certain times of the day, so just making sure. I have to get permission to go back after leaving. So
fair enough.
And a big shout out to Hector's lovely wife for letting them use the headphones. It sounds much better.
Oh yeah.
So
appreciate that.
We'll give her some love.
Whacker, so that's always a plus. All right. So in terms of where. Everybody again for watching, spreading the love on the show, and listen, another great week of MVC action and great effort out of you guys today. Much appreciated. Huge thanks to Brian Aylward from Tewksbury for joining us on Skype, and we have a great week. We'll talk to you next week here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance.
Go Texans.